this module, we'll be looking at the jQuery user interface widgets and interactive objects that you can use on your website. I've included some examples inside of the module so you can see the high-end types of things that they can do. But if you look at the jQueryui.com website, you'll see that jQuery does a lot of just really basic things. They have the accordion, buttons, just simple things, dialog boxes that pop up and close. But they also have things that have a lot more potential to make interactive websites, like drag and drop objects, resizable and selectable objects. Now, if you use Dreamweaver, you'll notice that all of these widgets are easily accessible there. If I make a new site, and let's just make one on my desktop here. Let's call it junk, so I remember to throw it away. And I make a new HTML page. To put a UI, jQuery UI object on this page, all I have to do is say jQuery UI and pick. But you'll notice that this is a significantly smaller list than what you have if you want to use jQuery UI objects from the page. But the nice thing about this is it does go and it adds all the additional files that you need. It adds a significant amount of stuff into your website here, folders and things like that. But if I want to open this up and see it, it works right off the bat. That's wonderful, but we do lose a significant amount of control when we do things like that. So let's go ahead and start from scratch to make a new object. So here we can go into themes from our jQuery UI website, and I can pick from a gallery of a bunch of different themes, but I can also go in and modify all of these themes. So let's pick one here that we kind of like, that's dark blue, and this will show you what my widgets look like. I can see what they'd look like against a black background, but it doesn't actually give me the code to do the black background. It's just a visual, so you can actually see what it would look like. So once I decide, yes, I do like that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to download that. And I am going to keep all of these things. If I knew that there were things that I was not going to use, for instance, if I was not going to use a date picker, or if I was not going to use progress bars, I could deselect these things. However, since right now I want to be able to play with everything, I'm going to leave these things selected. Now, eventually you'd like to make your files smaller. It's going to make it a little bit easier for your users to download, but for me, for right now, I'm going to go ahead and take everything. And I have the correct theme selected. I'm going to go ahead and download that. I'm going to open it. And I'm going to go into my temp folders here, and I am going to extract it. Put it on my desktop. See if I can do this here. Okay, so I made a test folder inside of here, and here are all the files that it saved down here for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rename this folder because I don't like that name. So let's rename it test site. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go ahead and activate that site. So since I'm starting from scratch here, I can move all those files over into my other folder if I wanted to combine it, but in the end I'm going to have a bunch of junk in there if I do it that way, so I'm not going to. I declare my test site folder, select it, save, and so here we go. I have all of my folders, or all of my files inside. Now this is pretty junky. I don't like the fact that it has all of that stuff out there, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it CSS, and I'm going to drag all of my CSS files into that CSS folder. So I think it's, for me, it's a little messy that way. So I don't actually even need all of these files, to be honest. And I always want to update because Dreamweaver will automatically fix all of my links. If I don't update, everything will be broken and it will be a mess. I don't want to do that. Okay, I can also make a folder called JavaScript. And I want to drag these JavaScript files into there so that my folder is a little neater and tidier, and again, update everything. Looking at the wrong page. Okay. Let me open up the index that it gave me here that came in my file. And I'm going to go ahead and look at this live. And there it is, all nice and pretty for me. So I know now that everything works. So if I make a new page, all I have to do is start with all of these connectors that I know work. Oh, first, here's another thing I don't like. See how it actually puts all of that stuff in there, has style in the top, and I don't really care for that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out and put that on a new style sheet, which this is pretty cool. It's unwieldy because I have too much stuff because I'm using JQuery, and there's a lot of styles associated with it. If this was something else, I wouldn't have all of these UI styles. But I can scroll this around. You can't even see. Down here at the bottom it says Move CSS Rules. So I'm going to move it, and I want to move it to a new style sheet. Now I can create one. It says Main Style, or whatever I want to call it. I want it in my style folder. And so all of that goes somewhere else. Now if I make a new page, I know that I need to have all of this stuff in the header still associated. Additionally, I need to have down here at the bottom all of this stuff. That's the icons. Don't worry about that. It looks intimidating, but just keep on scrolling down. La 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 la. Okay. All of the different items that you want to use, it has a code right here for it. But additionally, the things that you have to pay attention to is down here at the bottom of the page, depending on what it is that you're going to use, well, you always need to have these two files. And then if you're going to have an accordion, you need to have this accordion line. I would leave always these things too. If you're going to have autocomplete, you want to have that. If you're going to have buttons, you need this, radio sets, tabs. Any of this that you're not going to use, you could actually delete it if you wanted to. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it all, but I'm going to collapse it so I don't have to look at it. So I'm going to select all of this stuff. These external files, we had talked a little bit in class about using a CDN. This is the equivalent, except for now they're actually stuck inside of my folder. So I don't have to link to an external site. But right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that and I am going to collapse it, which is right there, collapse section, so I don't have to look at it. But I know that that has to come with anything that I want. And I'm going to go ahead and deselect all of this stuff all the way up to the header. Should have saved as, actually. And I can save it as whatever. Had I been saved as and not overwritten, I could have gone in and copied any of the code that I wanted.